compared to you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's just kind
Well,
of
you have the
color
light
of
hitting you.
It might. It's probably mostly just that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's exactly what it is. Can you bring up the light on mine?
I'm about to see what I get here. Configure video. Can I get a bit more camera? Oh, yeah, there it was. There it was.
Because it's that window that's right here that's kind of screwing things up. Boom, 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 boom. I'd be willing to bet that if you did it more on the side and less of that window. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
It's getting somewhere.
Oh, that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too worried about it.
It's a good point, though.
Do, 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 do.
We'll try that. We will
Cool.
try that. Oh yeah, there's me, absolutely live trying this.
Ghostface Killer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the stuff right there. We always do it live anyway.
Cool.
Anyway, welcome. I am Ross. Joining me is Ian Smith of Tapestry Beer Bar and Sackvegas Brewing Company.
Heck
the two,
yeah.
the both?
Both
yours.
in one spot.
And together on location for the first time in a couple of years, we are attempting to drink Nova Scotia Dry is the short answer.
Tonight we're drinking New Brunswick and PEI dry. It's part of my great big Atlantic Canada tap takeover.
Oh, is it a tap takeover tonight?
It's a thing. No, well, until we run dry. So the concept here at Tapestry Beer Bar is to buy a keg, one keg, and when it's dry, move on to something else.
That happened to me. I used to go to St. John an awful lot. Well, not an awful lot. Once a year for a fringe festival we were a part of.
Right.
And we would go to a pub one night. We went to like the Church Street Steakhouse, or I think it was called. And we would say, oh, what's on tap? They say, oh, we've got this one. Oh, we'll try that one.
Yeah.
And we tried one, and it was called, the brewery was Hammond River.
Okay.
And I think just outside of St. John's, just a guy, a really small operation. And we tried it. We said, this is delicious. This is wonderful. This is a really, really good beer. And then a couple of nights later, we'd be at a different place, and we say, hey, do you happen to have Hammond River on tap? They said, oh, yeah, we do. And they'd bring it out, and it was something completely different. And we said, we had a pale ale before. This is like a red. This is something. They said, oh, I see. You're not from around here. Well, here we go. Let's hear the story. So the story goes, he makes beer.
Yeah.
And then when he makes one,
Yeah.
the pubs come to him and say, you got one? And he says, grab that one. I'm like, yeah. And they just heave off and take it with them. And then they crank it up, and they just ask him, what would you put in this one? Oh, it's a watermelon blonde. Great, all right, see you later. That's one pub has the watermelon blonde on until it's gone. So
Right.
it's that until it's gone concept. So
That's awesome.
I'm fully behind that. I
love it.
I think it's a lot of fun. This is hoppy. Is this an IPA? Or is it just a pale ale?
So right before we went on,
Yeah.
you had asked about spicy wings. So that is a suicide sauce with a whole lot of flavor.
It is, because it's got the hazy and the juicy in there as
Yeah.
well. And I've started coming around especially to hazy IPAs. And that's usually my teaser. If someone hands me an IPA and it's clear, I'm worried.
Oh yeah.
But with a little bit, with that really glorious haze, you know you're going to get a good citrus
Exactly.
with it. And the balance is there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of doing everything, and it's not just making you feel, pucker, where my wife loves sours, which is it's a similar feeling, I find. An uncomfortable IPA feels like drinking an uncomfortable sour.
Right.
Where if it doesn't have a good balance, anything with a good balance, I will happily drink.
And there's definitely a place for really clear, beautiful West Coast IPAs. West Coast IPAs, I mean, it took its origin from Pliny the Elder, from Russian River. It's a clear beer. It pours like a pale ale. It doesn't drink like a pale ale. But if you do it well and if you do it balanced, they don't always have to be hazy. But those New England IPAs, they're beautiful. So that is Killed by Death. From Tire Shack, that's a 10% triple. And it sure doesn't drink like one.
It does not drink like one. I'm way behind with my editing, and I was editing the day that we tried, the triple IPA, the Leviathan from Propeller,
Yep.
which is one of the smoothest, just citrusy, beautiful summer beers. And we compared that to, I think Two Crows had a triple as well. I mean,
Space Words.
we said, why are these so delicious? This is so strange. And yet, so double IPAs, we started realizing, hey, wait a minute, these are actually quite tasty.
Yep.
And then finding a triple IPA, but that is, again, very smooth. So Tire Shack
Brewing in Moncton.
Moncton, okay.
Yep. So they won Canadian Brewery of the Year last year.
I make the mistake of when I go somewhere, Moncton, did this in Fredericton a little while ago, did this in Montreal. Just got back there because my daughter travels for sports, and I go along and find breweries because it makes the sports palatable. I don't know. No, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch your kids play sports. What am I talking about?
My daughters too. I'm looking forward to it though.
It's going to happen. Well, I'll tell you what happened with us. My daughter, very active, loved to go outside. She was a very fast toddler. Just whoosh, she's gone, she's out of sight.
Yep.
One thing got her to hold still. She was 3 years old,
Okay.
and I was chasing her around on some sidewalk in the south end of Halifax one day. She hears this noise, and she turns around, and there's some boys playing road hockey. And up until this point, I'd never seen her hold still. But she's walking around, and then she went over, like just sort of the slow, hypnotized walk, and then she just sat down on the side of the road, zoned in.
I love it.
And I said, okay, I guess you might be a hockey player. And she's a hockey player. She found her sport. So it's funny, where my son, same age, at around a toddler, when he sees basketball, it's that same zombie zone in thing.
So I gotta wait for the zombie effect.
Yeah, well, maybe,
and then I know.
Either that, or it's just something that happens to, I don't know, maybe I'm sending it down. I might have, because I was a zombie as a kid. I try to explain to people, I would say, baseball is really boring. Maybe it's more interesting when you're an adult. And I said, well, okay, I was 8, and I would spend the entirety of a Sunday afternoon watching a Jays game on TV. And it was not boring to me. I have no idea how I held. I'm borderline ADHD. I'm probably kind of undiagnosed. I think we all are. But I could sit there and be like, baseball, yeah. And that might have been my thing. So maybe being hypnotized by the sport/activity, it might be a hereditary thing.
So you were traveling around making sports more palatable.
And I could not find, it's not that I could not find, I tried looking it up, and I'd go to places and I'd look for the craft beer, the local stuff, the made right there stuff.
Yep.
But every time you'd go somewhere, I'd say, oh, what's on tap? Do you have anything? Oh yeah, we've got these craft beers. Yeah. And then they plonk a can down on you, and it's made in Niagara Falls or something. I'm like, that's not quite what I was looking for. I appreciate the attempt to give me mostly what I wanted, but I couldn't. I probably could have done a better job of researching the smaller places. And when I was in Fredericton, I did a better job because I actually looked up the breweries, and we went to Grimross.
Nice.
And we.
Did you go to Greystone?
I think I've got a couple of Greystones at home. I tried a black IPA the other night, and
I was listening to a podcast about that.
I forget which one that was that I drank. But I did have one of my New Brunswick ones. But I'm going to be talking to there's some New Brunswick guys. They're doing the same thing, like New Brunswick craft beer thing, and they've got a podcast that they're starting up. So I'm saving my New Brunswick beers for when they're on the show. Aside from this one, but it's so scary.
It is
how smooth
it
a
is.
Triple IPA, a 10% beer. You said
when it's made well. There's a lot of bad triples.
Well, we haven't had one yet.
No.
So maybe it's just, is it...
They don't stick around and exist for very long, that's why.
Probably. Is it that there's a skill level to bravery?
100%.
Okay.
You've got to get the ratios right. When you're talking that much booze, like the grain bill alone is just gigantic. It's gigantic, and if you do your calculations wrong, I mean, just to get it at 10% is a feat in and of itself. But it's that really, really high level of booziness that needs to be balanced, and it's really careful because if you go too much malt, if you go too much hops, if you go too much, it's like any beer. So I'm drinking Gateway, a beautiful West Coast double IPA from Lone Oak in Prince Edward Island, and the really delicate thing about West Coast IPAs is they have to be piney and they have to be bitter and they have to be hoppy. Those three characteristics. Mine's a lot more clear than yours. So it's.
I thought they were the same one. They look almost identical to me, but this is with my completely unprofessional eyes. I'm looking at everything here.
So it's challenging with West Coast IPAs, especially because in yours you can just hide it and it's boozy and it's like
It's strong. When you get to the bottom of it, it's so strong that you forget what the top half tastes like.
exactly. But with these guys, if you go too bitter or if you go too hoppy or if you go too piney, it just ruins the whole thing. But this is fantastic. Shout out to Spencer, good friend of mine. He did a marvelous job with Lone Oak.
But so they're both Moncton?
This is Prince Edward Island.
Oh,
from
PEI,
Lone Oak
right,
and
right.
PEI.
PEI.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
that's
still.
what was going on.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my Newfoundland beers. They're stuck in transit.
For the first half of the first part of the pandemic, and it was all kind of, you can't go anywhere, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So my wife would love to just go for drives.
Yeah.
So we just drive everywhere, and we got over to Parsboro. And
Right.
So I love going for the drives as well. So I've been up and I go into Tatamagouche, and I'm sort of like, haven't had that, and I'd load up, move on, try that again the next weekend, go zoom around, see some other stuff. We tasted some things at a backstage in Stellarton.
Stellarton.
So trying to be at each of the locations became a bit of a thing. I think I've stepped foot in almost all of them that are outside of HRM. Inside of HRM, I have yet to actually visit Propeller.
Which one?
All of them. All of them are in the LC.
None of them.
They're all available in the LC,
Yeah.
so you don't really have to go on premises. And
Yeah.
a lot of the Halifax ones kind of did that, where you can usually get things outside.
I think there's a couple of small batch ones, especially the one in Bedford here, that you can't get at the LCs.
Bedford off track?
Nope, the Bedford Propeller.
Oh, Bedford. Wait.
You didn't know that?
Bedford Propeller make different batches than Halifax Propeller?
They do. They're small batch. They all have a small batch system. So brand new NSLC rules require breweries to make small batch on hand in order for you to sell your wares on a larger scale.
So the tap room idea doesn't really work anymore. Because if Good Robot is making theirs out in Lance or
Elmsdale.
Elmsdale, but they've got a tap room in Dartmouth and one in Halifax.
Correct. No, 2 in Halifax.
Yeah, oh, right. They're both in Halifax.
Yep.
Do they need to brew something unique at those locations?
And they do. So the one in Roby Street makes these unbelievably awesome seltzers that you can't get anywhere else, for example.
Okay.
And they make some Rattlers, and then the Beer Garden, I'm not sure about the Beer Garden because it's more of a restaurant and a bar than anything else. It's not a tap room per se, so it might fall under like a different designation. But yeah, so that rule came in kind of not post-COVID, because we're not even post-COVID yet.
Are we yet? I don't know.
Last year, the NSLC got worried that breweries were starting to like abuse their powers and
sell more than.
Basically, what they were doing was they were putting like a fermentation bucket in the back room and saying, "We make beer here." So the previous rule was you had to participate in 50% of the brewing process at your location. Well, if you're fermenting beer, that's 50% of the process. It's literally like a bucket. You're fermenting your beer in a bucket. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, we're done with that. You guys have to do 100% of the brewing process on site. And you have to make two independent beers, two different beers, two different styles, twice a year. So that's the category that I fall under.
I was wondering that because you've got the taps.
I do.
But if you're not, so this was selling beer at all, not just selling things in cans to go. So you're not a reseller of the cans. You don't have.
Yeah. So I'm so small batch that I can't. Like, in order for it to be making any sort of economically viable sense to sell cans, I'd have to produce thousands of liters. Mm-hmm. I produce 70 liters on a go.
Well, I was looking because on the site for Sackvegas Brewing Company, there was an American Pale Ale, and then immediately said Sold out. Or
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's available June 29th.
Oh, yeah.
Sold out.
2 days.
I should have been here that weekend. I could have tried it. So close, so close.
So my next
there was
one, a double New England IPA, it's called SKT. It comes out the end of July. And now I've started basically like a 2-week cycle. So my beers take about a month to finish off. It's about 2 weeks of fermentation and about 2 weeks of carbing them and letting them sit and kind of age. So as soon as that fermenter is clean, and I only have one, as soon as that fermenter is done and it's been transferred into the kegs and carved, that fermenter gets cleaned and I brew that day. So last night was fermentation, transfer into the carbs, into the tanks, and then we brewed Pineapple Express last night till like midnight.
But the brewing, was that an interest of yours before this NSLC rule came along?
It wasn't an interest of mine at all.
It wasn't?
So I opened Tapestry Beer Bar because I fell in love with the Nova Scotia craft beer scene. So I moved back from Las Vegas in 2017. I took...
was this original home?
This is originally my home.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
All right.
My mom's American, so I have dual citizenship.
Hey there.
I left when I was 19 and was gone for almost 20 years. Traveled all over the place, had a great time. But that was like my true introduction to beer. Because, I mean, I lived on the West Coast. Beer in America has been around for a lot longer than here.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, Keith's has been around for a long time.
I only get what I see in movies, and it feels... We as Canadians... We feel very uppity, even though we're pretty basic as well.
Yeah.
Where everything is a Labatt Blue, or out east, it's an Alexander Keith's, or if you're out west, it's an Alpine, or something ridiculous like that. But we sort of, Americans in craft beer, no, it doesn't exist. They all just drink, Budweiser, or is it Old Milwaukee, or...
I mean, Yingling is the original. Yingling is like the OG American from like the early 1800s.
Okay. Miller, that's what I was thinking.
Miller High Life.
Miller, Miller Coors, and
Coors,
Budweiser.
Bud.
You think?
Yeah.
The basics.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
there's nothing beyond that on TV, except when someone's British friend comes to town and they demand a Guinness, and then that's kind of the comedy of the entire episode of we have to find our friend a Guinness, and no one knows what that is here in America.
it's just, I mean, it's so funny to me because it's just such a misnomer. Like when I was living in the U.S. and I would come back and I'd bring my friends beer, I mean, the craft beer revolution in America started 10, 20 years before it did here. Like Propeller and Garrison is 1997.
And even the Canadian, it's west to east.
Yeah.
Almost.
Always.
And we're
Yeah.
a little late to the table, but it's finally starting to really...
Yeah.
I wouldn't say pop off, but be really interesting.
It is.
I feel like my curiosity got into it a little bit late, but just about at the right time that I said, okay, what's all the stuff that we've got here? And it's there's so much, especially in the LC, where before it was kind of you had about 2 or 3 propellers that you could buy in a case.
Right.
And thank God one of them was the porter. Otherwise, I wouldn't have learned what I liked. And it's it's just an expansive amount of flavors for everything.
Yeah.
Which I'm appreciative for. So Vegas for a while, and then you came back.
Vegas, came back. I became the bar manager at the Alt Hotel out at the airport.
I know where that is.
And I said, okay, let's bring in craft beer. So we had Garrison and 9 Locks on tap. Mm-hmm. It was great. 9 Locks was only a couple of years old at that point. Garrison was huge.
The one, yeah.
At that point, they were the big boys on campus. So I started really kind of getting into that, and kind of like what you said, I started traveling around, obviously pre-COVID, and there weren't nearly as many breweries back then. But I just started like checking them off, and I was just like Googling them and reading about them, and then just visiting them and saying, oh, hey, I'm from the Alt. Perhaps we should get your beer on. Can I try a few things? I was flexing a little bit, trying to use my clout to say, you know what? Why don't you give me some free beer? And I'll talk to the higher ups. But I fell in love with it, man. Like it was so much fun. And then when it all went to shit in 2020 and planes stopped flying through the sky and I lost my job, I tried bartending downtown for a little while and then realized very quickly that I don't have the patience for 25-year-olds telling me that they know more about bartending and cocktailing and beer and life in general than I do. So, and I was living here in Sackville at the time, and one of the things that my wife and I kind of realized when we bought our house in 2019 is we went out into the wilds in Sackville. We were like, where are we going to get a drink? Well, you can go to Freeman's and get a dirty blonde or a juicy or whatever
For $17.
$17. You can go to Beaverbank Station, same sort of thing. They had the same sort of stuff. You can go to Boston Pizza, but they didn't have anything crafty at all. So
Thunder Mugs.
The Thunder Mugs are Rick's Red. And shout out to the Thunder Mugs of Rick's Red, because that got me through the late 90s.
Yeah.
Dude, as soon as Rick's Red came out east and they were served in Thunder Mugs, buddy.
That was my game changer when I realized that was the first step towards beer doesn't have to taste awful for me. Was someone tried, try this. I'm like, I don't really like beer. And I tried one and I said, oh, wait, whoa, hey, whoa. this doesn't taste like donkey ass. What's going on? It doesn't all taste like, oh, tell me more. I want to hear more about this not donkey ass that I could have been drinking this whole time.
My introduction to the most amazing beer that I have yet to have, but it was like bringing me onto the right path with Sam Adams.
Yep.
So I was living in Boston in 1996 and met this great guy. We were working together at the Sunglass Hut in Harvard Square. I was his assistant manager, and he said, dude, you got to try Sam Adams. I said, I never heard of it. Like, cool, let's give it a shot. And I remember going to the brewery and first of all, if you haven't experienced the Sam Adams brewery tour, do it.
I definitely need to go on more brewery tours than
awesome.
I go on. Because I go on the craft brewery tours.
Right.
Which is, it's just look at the back room. Ta-da! And that's it. And there's the bathroom. And
Yeah. I mean,
done.
it was to the point of like that Alexander Keith's production level of, if they was just like, they get these crazy enthusiastic guys, and you walk in the tap room in the Boston Beer Company, and it's hanging with banners. There's just banners everywhere. And the very first thing they're going to tell you is Boston Lager is the most award-winning beer in the world. It's won more than 3,000 golds in international beer competitions.
Oh, well, okay then.
And Jim has only been in business since 1984. He just celebrated his 40th. He was a brewer in his garage in 1984, and he tried to enter a brewing competition. They're like, you can't do that. He said, why not? He said, you brew in a garage. No, sir, you are not allowed. So he comes back the following year and he says, I have a brewery now. I have a 2-barrel brewery, and I have a brewer's license. It's number 002 in the state of Massachusetts. We'll get to 001 in a second. 002 in the state of Massachusetts. They say, fine, we'll try your beer. Well, the Boston Beer Company has won 6,000 medals as a overall conglomerate, because they make way more than just Boston Lager. And yeah, Boston Lager's won more than 3,000. So it is literally the greatest beer in the world. And it is always on tap here at Tapestry Beer Bar.
Oh, okay.
Right here at 833 Sackville Drive in Lower Sackville.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna, the next time I go to Boston, that's going to be on my list if I ever get back there. Got back there a couple of times. I like it there.
And their beer scene has gone through the roof now. I mean, 2 blocks from Fenway is Trillium, and they make some unbelievably awesome beer.
I guess I just sort of have, in my imagination, where are the craft beer centers?
So, in the U.S.,
Yeah.
you've got the Eastern Corridor, so you can start in Maine and work your way down. Sacred and Profane.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, the Maine Beer Company.
I feel like I understand New England, but that's it.
So, skip the rest. I mean, obviously, I'm wearing an Evil Twins shirt right now from Brooklyn, New York. They're famous. They're awesome. My mom and I just went there for the May 2-4 long weekend, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We try to go down and honor America. My mom's American, as I said. So we always try and honor America, go down there for the May 2-4 long weekend. It's fun. It's a great time. But Asheville, North Carolina, which is where Sierra Nevada, their East Coast base of operation is based in. Asheville is out of this world. California, as a state, has over 1,000 breweries now?
My friend was living in California for a while.
Yeah.
He's a sour fan.
Okay.
And he says he went to like they had Sour Fest.
Yeah.
And he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
That was his Northern California
yeah.
thing. They all might have been Southern California.
Yeah.
He was in Oakland. I can't remember how far he had to travel for it, but there was it was either SoCal or NoCal Sour Fest that he loved.
It's amazing.
So it seemed like a big, huge thing. I was in Alabama in, when the heck was that? 2015?
Yeah.
When did my friend get married? I went down for his wedding, and so he got married, and then everything was kind of closing down. And I said, "Hey, what else are we doing?" And they said, "Oh no, Jan, we're all old. We're going to bed." And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go just see what I can find." And I found on. I don't know how I looked it up, and I can't even remember the name of the brewery, but I found this place out in the middle of nowhere in southern Alabama, and it was this craft brewery, and they had all these picnic benches, and it was still decorated for the 4th of July, because I got there on the 5th. They got married on the 5th of July. It was hot.
Oh, I bet.
And so I went in, and I was just sort of, okay, I'm in a rental car, so I can only have like 3, but they had 20. It's all the most interesting things. I was like, oh, I want to try it all and just like crash here somewhere. But okay, I'll only have a couple.
No Uber in Southern Alabama in 2015.
There might have been, but I hadn't heard of it. Because I'm just a country mouse from the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia. Everyone kept asking me where I was from. I said, "Oh, I'm from," and I'd just say East Coast of Canada. And they went,
So when I tell Americans where I'm from, when I'm living there, I say, "You know where the state of Maine is, right?" 75% of them will say yes. The other 25 have no fucking idea where it is.
Way up there.
That's America?
Way
What?
up and out of there, yeah.
Because you can't tell them you're from Nova Scotia. Or if you tell them from Canada, they're going to say, "Oh, you know John, right?" I said, "Yeah, like I've drank with John so many times." Like,
exactly.
God, my buddy John.
Of course we know.
We and I we go way back. So you go to Maine, and you go up, and then you go right. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
That's what you tell Americans.
Well, technically it's up and around and down, because we're on par, aren't we?
But you gotta Americanize it. Come on.
It's true.
Up and to the right. Got to make sure that they understand it.
If Maine had a Long Island, that's
a Cape.
us.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod.
A Cape Cod.
Cape Cod of Maine.
Yeah.
The enormous, the oversized Cape Cod of Maine.
We have lobsters and great white sharks, just like Cape Cod does.
I used to do phone support. There was a couple of call centers in and around the area, and I did phone support for everyone in the States for, I think it was AT&T wireless way back in the day. And I was talking to someone, and I said, "Oh, where are you located?" And I said, "Oh, I'm up in Canada." "Oh, whereabouts?" "Oh, the eastern side." And they said, "Oh, you mean like New Brunswick?" I said, "Wait, hang on. This is a guy, he's in like New Mexico." And I said, "How do you know where New Brunswick is?" I think he said he had family here, and he comes up all the time. Like when you go see a Steve Polsta shows, and his family, he kind of grew up in California, but his mom had originally been from somewhere up near the New Brunswick area, so he always comes up and still does his tours and does a lot of music up and around this area. Yeah. He's big around here just because he does surgical strikes to come and do a couple of shows.
I love
in
that.
a very small area like that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just I love the atmosphere. I definitely got to swing the camera around and show a little bit more of this. This is.
I mean, it slides in perfectly with what we were talking about. Like, I've spent so much time in the Southwest that I wanted to build like a Southern California big city vibe bar right here in Lower Sackville. I mean, there's no televisions. The music is a little bit loud tonight, but we wanted to give it that lively kind of feel to it. But I mean, so what I like to say is this is kind of like a neo-German beer hall. There's no distractions. It's literally about the beer and great conversation. Like we've got people talking all around us right now, having great conversations. You and I can chat no problem. We can't really hear what's going on because we've got these booth dividers. So it's private, but yet you feel like you're part of this great beer community.
It's the beer and the people drinking the beer.
Yeah.
The two priorities. I hadn't even noticed that there's no like little TVs. There's no sports going on all the time.
There's nothing, man.
That's amazing.
Because that all takes it away. I mean, as guys, we know that as soon as we walk into a bar with our significant other or another dude and we're out for a good time, whatever, we're half paying attention to the conversation. Like, I can't even help myself. Whenever my wife and I go out and there's a television, I either have to make sure that I'm not positioned so that I can't see it, it doesn't exist, or I'm going to be talking to her like this the entire time. It's awful.
I manage the sort of the occasional glance, just the distraction, because usually there's not even many sports that I care about. There's just flashy lights going on over there, and there's a place in Wolfville that I like, and they've got several of their TVs, unless they're having an event. Hey, it's the World Cup finals, we're definitely watching it.
Yeah.
But on the TVs, most of the time is like rotating footage of cute and adorable cats and dogs tumbling over each other. Like
where is this?
Kittens and puppies.
What is this in Wolfville?
The King's Arms Commons.
Oh, I know it's about
Joey Bishop's place.
For sure.
And it's kittens.
That's hilarious.
Kittens on the TV all the time.
That's hilarious.
I don't know, it's the same kind of distraction. I feel. You're kind of looking up at it all the time. And you're like, aw. But I've managed to figure out how to continue telling a story while also doing the occasional glance over. I don't focus on like the score or anything. It's just to get some sort of weird dopamine hit in your brain. The flashing lights have done something to me, and you're like, yeah, there we go. Soak it in and just keep going.
I'm a sports fiend, man, and I don't have cable at home. I don't have any of those sports streaming things. So like, I pay attention to the scores on my Score app on my phone.
Yep.
But as soon as you get me in front of anywhere near a television that's got sports, dude, I'm a zombie. I'm lost. Yep.
That was rather good.
Shout out to Alan and the crew at Tire Shack, because he makes some unbelievably awesome beers.
I am slow. Well, in reaching out to all of the to the breweries themselves, I'm getting to know kind of names and everybody, and even inviting everyone out to conversations. So I'm trying to get to know everybody, and it's a slow process, mostly because
it is.
Network and promotion and advertising wise, I'm terrible at that. So but I also try to reach out to. I even reached out to Tourism Nova Scotia, and they recommended I talk to the Good Cheer Trail.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I couldn't figure out the difference, but they said, oh yeah, keep us informed, let us know what's going on. And, all right, I think everyone's just kind of being nice and saying that's nice. I'm a kid with a science project. I feel right now, where they're kind of looking at my little bubbling volcano and going. It's cute that you're trying.
So when I went live on my social media, January 1st, 2021, I had visited maybe half of the breweries at that point.
Nice.
That were open in 2021. And then I spent between January and June when I opened, and I made it my mission to visit every single brewery, which I've done. So I visited every single brewery in the entire province, and I know, 80, 90% of the owners by first name. I know the brewers by their first name, and going and making that effort and going all the way down to Heritage and seeing the gang down there and going up to, let's say, Roofhound and hanging out with Les and going to see my friend Sean at Lund's Mill and going all the way up to see Jeremy at Big Spruce. Like, it matters to these folks because, I'm here and I'm promoting them and I'm putting them all up on a soapbox and saying, hey, this is the absolute best of the best beer.
Because it's what's on tap. That's why I feel like you're asking for something to supply everybody here with.
Yeah.
Where all I've got, because I don't have a place, I don't have an investment opportunity to do that. I'm trying to make ends meet with a bit of a half a day job, but I will talk about everything. What I want is all I can offer is the conversation.
Yeah.
A conversation, a description as best I can, because it's annoyed me for the longest time whenever I see a review of something. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen the review for any movie, music, craft beer, for example, and someone gets so wrapped up in their own, it's almost an ego trip of what's the most poetic way that I can say, oh, if you took a fried egg and slid it under a dead horse for 9 hours and then slid it back out, that's the feeling I got when trying this. And I thought, okay, well done on the imagery, but you're not telling me anything I need to know about this.
Yeah.
Was it too hoppy? Was it too sad? Like, what are you saying? And it's always been a pet peeve of mine that when a critique or a critic or a description comes along,
right.
it's not descriptive, it's just emotional.
Right.
And I mean, I'm very emotional, but I want to be as descriptive as possible. And the best part of doing this whole thing has been, we are trying beers that we would have never tried.
Yeah.
We said, and something comes along, we say, well, all right, black IPA. That doesn't sound like it's going to be very good. I never would have tried that on my own.
But you like dark beer.
But we didn't understand what was going on.
Okay.
So when we poured one, we said, oh, hello, this is the thing. But we thought we would never like a lot of IPAs. There's a bunch of IPAs that we love.
Really?
The doubles and the triples, never would have gone near them because we were so scared of the IPAs. So
wow.
It's been a real opportunity of exploration that I like. In just saying, we've got to try everything. Yeah. Because if we don't try everything and we're just saying, hey, this is the good stuff of the things that we like, it's not helping.
And I love to tease people here at my bar. So somebody will order something. I said, I'll take a number 3. I said, oh, that's a good choice. I love that. I love that for you. And I'll pour them the number 3 and I'll give them to them. And they're 3/4 of the way down. I said, can I get you something else? I said, I'll take another one of those. I said, we've got 19 other beers to choose from. I said, you're going to drink the same beer? They said, oh, well, I love this one. I said, how do you know number 5 isn't the best beer you've ever had in your entire life unless you try it? I said, life's too short to drink the same beer twice. It just is. Why would you do that to yourself when we have so many amazing breweries and so many opportunities to have such great beer? Yep. And the crazy thing about beer is, and it kind of goes back to your description, is it's completely subjective. Somebody might say that beer tastes like an egg that's been slid under a dead horse and then brought back for 9 hours. But you might think that it's the greatest fucking thing ever made.
Ian and I, we both like, my co-host, we both like a malty thing, a darker beer. But sometimes we try something and we buy the same cans at the same time. We try them. He says, ew. And I said, ooh. And we go completely opposite on one particular flavor, where one of us tastes something. So it's even down to individual taste buds.
Oh, dude. It's crazy. I'm going to get her attention for 1 second. May I have an 11 and a 13, please? Thank you so much.
So you got the 20 memorized? But how can you have the 20 memorized if when one empties, it changes so much? So that's today's 11 and today's 11
and today's 13. And it's not to say that we go, like, I'm not big-headed. We don't go through beer every single day. I don't go through 20 kegs a day.
No.
So right now, it's the great big Atlantic Canada tap takeover. We've got beer from New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. We've got beer coming from Newfoundland. So it's important for me to know what the beer is all about, what each one is, because there's some people that don't want to look at the QR code, so we need to be able to talk about that. I sit down with my staff. I invite all of my staff members. We've got 4 here, and I bartend 6 days a week. I take Monday off for my own sanity, but most of the time I work.
Don't work 7 days a week.
Most of the time I work 8 hours that day anyway, because I run this place from top to bottom. I do everything. But I always invite my staff in. We always try everything. We talk about it. We critique it. Rachel is celiac, so she tells us all about the ciders. She does a great job with that. She's the cider gal. But it's important to me because I'm kind of the face of my own company. And if I'm going to present these great products, I want to be able to, A, know what the fuck I'm talking about, and B, be able to make recommendations based on, okay, if you don't want to, if you're scared of looking at my tap list, let's have a conversation. What do you like? Yeah. What are you interested in today? Because that could change. Because that could change based on the meal that you had an hour ago. If you had pepperoni pizza, maybe you don't want an IPA because that's going to change the characteristics. Thank you so much.
And things that go with.
That's going to change the characteristics of that beer, the way that it tastes. Or maybe your stomach's a little upset so you don't want to have some quad IPA. We don't serve quads here. Triple IPAs. What was my long rambling point to that? I got lost as soon as the beer showed up. As soon as the beer showed up, I was like, oh, no beer.
I was like, oh, wait, beer.
Oh, yeah.
This is, that's thick. Is that another, no, wait. Some juice in there. I feel like this is a quiz now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is...
Isn't it?
That is sweet.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be
It is sweet.
very citrusy. This
It is
is
sweet.
almost like a... What's a hazy Pilsner? That's what is this? This is... No, there's a very tight sweetness up front.
Okay.
And it just sort of peters out, but in a very smooth way possible. It's
You're not wrong. That's a great recommendation. Analysis.
oh, what is it? It's up at the front. I don't want to say like a peppermint sweetness, but it's like a candy.
You're close. You're
a
close.
candy sweetness.
You're
like
close.
Very sugar, not fruit, not a natural. Apricot? No.
So I love having conversations. I finally got around to it. I love having conversations with people, and maybe they want to have something different. Maybe they want to explore something different. So I'm here to take them on this kind of beer journey. So that's why I know my tap list inside and out.
Peach, I'm starting to feel like a little bit of like fuzzy peach apricot at the front of that.
But there's a sweetness that lends itself to it that isn't from the peach. You're right. It is peach. But there's an extra bit of sweetness in there.
Yeah, there's something else in there. Yeah. It almost tastes like artificial sweetener. It's very like erythritol or whatever the stuff is called in those Monster energy drinks.
It's a peach vanilla milkshake IPA.
Oh. Okay. Vanilla.
Yep.
But with the peach. So the sweet at the front end and then the thickness of the milkshake. I have heard of something like this. There was some. I was looking up some other ones, and there were some milkshake IPAs because we were curious about it because there's always these the milk stouts or the lactose stouts, and then can you do that the other way around?
Yep.
And I have seen a couple that were little milkshake ones.
So that's 100% vegan. So it's not milk at all. There's no lactose in that at all.
Oh no, okay.
It's just actually the way that they created it and the way they brewed it to give it that thickness and that milkshake feel.
So it's not, hey, this is made of milkshake. It's a milkshake feel.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of. My friend, he's now in quotes because he brought me this beer. He saw one day, and it was the King of Donair. Keats had paired up with the King of Donair to make the King of Donair beer.
Yum.
And I went, all right, I will drink a beer that tastes like spicy meat. Sure, let's try that.
But if it's got that Donair sauce in there, that's a problem.
It was a really strange beer because what it tasted like was every part of the Donair except the spicy meat. It was pita bread beer.
Ew.
Yes. But, and the only way I can describe it, this is fully saved. If you drink this while eating a Donair,
100%.
Yeah, it is a perfect paired beer. Yeah. So the wording is just wrong on the outside of the can.
I remember just recently there was somebody telling me about they had like a spicy peppercorn beer. Like drinking it by itself, nobody wants pepper in beer. Like peppered over the top. Oh my God, my face is on fire. Pepper. However, you have peppercorn beer with a rare steak. Mm-hmm. Situational.
Yep.
Because everybody likes pepper on their steak.
Yes.
And if you don't, you're wrong. But those two things combined.
I grew up, my parents are Scottish, so food was served and you ate food.
Oh yeah.
There was no salt and pepper on the table.
Oh whoa.
You didn't do anything to your food after it had arrived.
Okay.
So now I get to be the cook in the house. And the pepper grinder is, it's first, third, and fifth thing that I add to everything I cook. I start, put the pork chops on there, and okay, we'll just start with a bit of pepper on each of those, and then, garlic here, and a little more pepper, I think, has got to go on there.
So,
I have come so far around on a little bit of salt, but full-on black pepper. I've got the peppercorns in the grinder, and I toss them in there, and it goes on everything. I think I put it in mac and cheese today for my kids.
my dad used to put pepper in his Cheerios. No joke.
I do have a friend. I'm not this bad yet. He. When we go out to eat at the pub, he gets like an open face, one of those, what do they call them, gravy sandwiches.
Okay. Like a hot chicken sandwich, hot turkey sandwich.
Hot chicken sandwich.
Whatever.
And they pour the gravy on the top.
Yeah.
And then he gets the pepper shaker.
Yeah.
So it's not ground, it's already ground.
Mount
And
Everest.
he's shake.
Yeah. He takes like the top off that annoys
It
the.
would be more efficient if he were to do that.
Oh, I
Like,
mean, he
He
should.
does the shake the whole way until the top. The
Right.
gravy is no longer brown.
Can't see it.
It is gray.
Yeah.
It is just. It looks like a forest fire just rained ash on his food, and then he just tucks in, and that's the stuff. And I'm looking at it saying, I can smell the overpowering pepper from here.
It no longer
two
smells like
things,
gravy anymore.
You might have put too much pepper on it, and second, I can really go for some pepper right now because you're making me salivate at how much pepper is on there. But when you said the peppered one, and also going back to recommendations for friends, I have a friend who he would come around. My friends and I, we try to find some exploratory beers, some interesting beers, and then we feed them to each other almost as a punishment. That was our 20s. Now that we're older and we don't want to punish each other anymore, now we say, I found a good one. You got to try this. You got to try. So we find the good ones. We now push the good ones at each other.
I mean, that's nice of you.
As opposed to, this one made me puke. You got to try it. So he used to come to all of those. And in fact, in retrospect, he was probably the sensible one. He said, no, I don't want to try any of your gross stuff anymore. I've just brought my 6-pack of Stella Artois.
Stella.
And I went, oh.
It has its place.
Man, okay. So
It has its place.
and he's always said, I don't really know where to go from here. So I asked him a few questions. This was just a year or two ago. It was one of our last friends to get married got married, and we're all at his wedding. Just don't really know what to do. And I said, well, I've heard a couple of things over at the bar, and I'm curious about it. So I want you to try 2 things. They had what did they have? Well, they had the El Diablo,
Okay.
Good Robots El Diablo on
Yep.
tap. And I said, I want you
Jalapeno
to give
spicy
that a
burger.
whirl. I'm curious
Dude, you're
what you
regressing.
think about that.
You're regressing right back to punishing people.
But I don't think that one's a punishment. When
I'm kidding.
Propeller made their jalapeno way back in the day, that was maybe like 6-7 years ago. That one was punishment. The El Diablo is, this has got a hint
just
of
a
a
little bit.
jalapeno to it. That's quite nice. The Propeller one, I have never felt that level of spice from a liquid before. It was the spice where just you drank a sip, you went, and you had to put the fire out. But the problem was the only thing you had in front of you was the Propeller jalapeno. So
More of the liquid accelerator.
I'm fairly certain that it was an ad campaign, and they sold like, hey, we sell like 5 pints in a row. It's really good. Do you want another one? Yes, please. Oh my God, give me anything. And they couldn't put the fire out. But when he explained to me what he was looking for in a beer, he said, I kind of like this flavor when I'm drinking. I like a more kind of rounded flavor. I like a light beer. I don't, the malty ones and the coffee flavors. It gets too burnt. I don't like the burnt flavor.
Okay.
But I love it to taste more a wholly round flavor. And I went, okay. And then the next time I saw him, I brought him 2 cans of the Marigold Blonde from Sober Island.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is one of my favorites.
It is.
In the
100%.
province.
100%.
It's nectar. It's just nectar. I love that one.
It's a beautiful blonde.
And I like finding favorites.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that's better than finding favorites I have found is when you see a favorite and then you see that a couple of your favorites went to the national competition, and one of your favorites got a silver. And I think, yeah.
But then you wonder what beat it.
Oh, something from some other province that I've never had before.
I know, but you should get it.
Out Alberta. That's a long drive.
But then you got to get that friend who's willing to break all of the rules and ship that shit to you.
He used to be able to break all those rules, but now he has 2 kids, and he doesn't want to risk it when he's bringing the kids back home.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put it, if he's flying, you can put it in his checked baggage.
It's true, but then you get the... I don't... It's all going to go absolutely everywhere.
Fine.
So, 20 taps.
20 taps. 12 beers, 16 beers technically, 17 beers. 12 non-IPAs.
I love how that started at 12 and then 16 and then 17. My dad and I would play crib, and he used to refer to that as mumbly peg.
Oh, 100%.
He just
100%.
mumbly pegged that from a 12 to a 17.
Okay, so 1 through 12 is dedicated through sours, pales, all the way down to a nice big thick stout. 13.
There is a thick stout.
There is. Right now it's Flat Black Jesus from Unfiltered. On nitro, no less. It is the...
I haven't had enough from Unfiltered, but I think I need to get into Unfiltered a lot more.
You're sitting here drinking IPAs with me.
Well, yeah.
I'm a hophead, and I'm here to tell you that Greg Nash at Unfiltered is the greatest IPA brewer in Canada.
What did we have? We had the double... the
DOA.
Yeah.
Double Orange Ale.
That was the one, because it was Todd Beale's favorite.
I know it is. 13 through 17 is dedicated. 13 through 16 is dedicated to IPAs. 17 through 20 is dedicated to ciders.
But if these 2 are part of the IPA celebration, what we started doing when we were trying to go through beers, and we decided, when you go into the LC, everything is just, here is IPA, just straight IPA, this kind of IPA, the brunch IPA and the werewolf IPA, and it's just, they just put a name in front of it, and they're all maybe a little basic.
Okay.
It's a basic IPA.
Okay.
So it feels like there's 47 basic IPAs.
There's a lot.
In the LC.
There is.
What you've got here is you just went 13 through 17 and you gave me 2 of such a spectrum. This is incredible. I would love if this was
100%.
in the LC. Something
100%.
like this. But it's just basic.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the argument of what craft beer is selling in Nova Scotia. What is everyone drinking? And is everyone kind of, well, I drink craft beer, so therefore, can you give me your most basic, maybe slightly over-hopped IPA that you've got? And then you say, oh, do you want something darker? No, piss off with your dark beer. I'm a craft beer drinker. I have to drink IPAs that make me physically uncomfortable and give me heartburn for 2 solid days. There's got to be something more to than that.
And it's so good IPAs at the NSLC are hard. They are hard to come by. They do exist.
Yep, there's 2.
But it's challenging. So me being a huge hophead, I make sure that I have the absolute best of the best. And one thing you'll find here at Tapestry Beer Bar is...
At 883...
At 833, you were almost... 833 Sackville Drive, in between Pizza
The joke
Delic.
was right there.
It was so close. Right in between Pizza Delic and Apartment 3 Coffee.
Yep.
Is we carry, most products that we carry will not be available at the NSLC. First of all, from a marketing perspective, why would you come here and enjoy a craft beer if you could just go to the NSLC, pay less money, and crack it at home? That's not going to get people out. Secondly, with the exception of the 2 beers, the aforementioned beers, the NSLC sells shit. I sell the absolute best of the best.
Because you go and you try them. This is why I've been, and I'm slowly getting there, I want an NSLC representative. I want to talk to them too. Mostly because they're part of the situation.
They are.
I want to talk to someone who's part of the situation, and I want to... It's not really like what motivates you or something. Like, what is your interest? What is going on? And what if I talk to someone who is just the most excited craft beer enthusiast and happens to be the NSLC craft beer rep? And I think I'm getting closer and closer to that. But I want that conversation just because, again, I want to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And I love that.
Absolutely everybody, because I feel like if you even have a little bit of an interest in craft beer, you want to talk endlessly about craft beer. It stumps me that we have mostly maintained an hour-long show once a week just to talk about craft beer. Because we just go on and on and on and on, and we're talkers. It's a terrible affliction as a host / interviewer that I don't shut up. And I'd
You're doing
like,
a great job of letting me talk.
I'd like to think that you've got a number of words in edgewise here. Oh man, we're like 5-2. What is in your glass right now?
I'm drinking a pina colada IPA called Love at Midnight.
So we went most of the spectrum of the IPAs then.
Most. Yep. Yeah, we did all 4. Because I'm still waiting for more from Newfoundland, which are being held up. I don't want to talk about it. So back to the NSLC thing. It's not just the NSLC. You've got to take into account that the breweries are saying, okay, these are the beers that we want the NSLC to consider. But the breweries have to be careful, because if they make something that is really hop forward or is whatever and is it doesn't generally fit the spectrum of what people like. Not craft beer lovers as a general rule, but what we consider our Nova Scotia overall whole taste buds to be like.
Okay.
You can't make something crazy and put it into the NSLC and expect it to sell. And it's
El Diablo has been there for years. It's not crazy, but it's probably
it's not crazy, and it's been there.
It's the quirkiest flavor.
It's
that's
the
probably
quirkiest,
been there.
but it has a place. It does have a
Nine
place.
Logs has their watermelon blonde. You've got the sour sneak in there. The Let's Jam, the strawberry pomegranate, and things like that. So there is. I feel like it's getting quirkier.
It's getting different. It's getting better.
It is still 75 to 80% basic.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a huge portfolio that all of these beer companies who are represented by the NSLC make. And literally it's just exposure. Because the breweries that sell to the NSLC aren't making shit. They do not make money when you buy a can of beer from the NSLC. If you want to support breweries, go to the brewery and buy it from them.
And that's
because way more money goes in their pocket than buying it from the man.
Just why we usually buy our Propeller and City ones. the big ones we get at the NSLC. The little ones I go straight to. I'm like, give me 6 of your cans, and let's
And it's
go.
awesome, and it's fantastic, and you should absolutely do that.
I had a question, and it's mostly gone out of my head. But as you were saying that, I had a really good question. I feel.
I love that for you, and we'll circle back to that.
We probably won't. It was. Were we talking about IPAs? Palates, tastes right.
There it is.
When a brewery is deciding what goes in, because it's not about, oh, I better put this in the NSLC because we'll start to make some coin.
100%. No.
Not that at all.
Absolutely not.
We got to get just our brand there.
Oh, that's what
so
it
that
was.
people see
Exposure.
a logo,
Exposure.
something, and say, they're in there. Maybe we should visit their location.
Exactly. And that's what it's about. Now, when we're talking about the big guys, Nine Logs, Garrison, Propeller, obviously I'm picking on those 3 because they're the 3
they get the
biggest.
shelf, like they get a stripe.
They get the majority of shelf space.
But I think they also they pay for that.
100% they do.
So there's
absolutely
the
absolutely
success
they do.
leeds to more success.
Yeah,
you
and that's great for
money
them.
to make money,
and I'm happy for them, and that's
Economics,
wonderful.
101.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's frustrating for me to see that more and more shelf space goes to them, and SKUs get pulled away from smaller breweries that are trying to get that exposure out there, and that are trying to do something different in these economically challenging times that we're living in. Because maybe there aren't people that know that Meander River exists. that backstage exists, that the Tro Brew Co exists. I'm spitballing here, but it's always wonderful to see them at the NSLC because they're keeping up with the demand, because the NSLC requires a tremendous amount of volume. You have to commit to a huge amount of volume if you want to be carried by the NSLC.
Now, is that regionally? Because I know I when I go to different parts of the Nova Scotia, I go to the brewery, but I also go and I peek in the NSLC
100%, and you always
to
should.
see what the selection is like. Because when I'm down in Lunenburg or Bridgewater, and there's an NSLC really close to where my daughter's playing sports, and it's closer than any of the breweries, and the breweries are shut because it's winter. She plays hockey, and when I go in the South Shore, it's boxing rock. All over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, hey, I like that it doesn't have to be 100% craft beer of all of Nova Scotia in every single NSLC. It doesn't have to be. But I love that when I get closer to Boxing Rock, they get more shelf space.
And Hellbang. It's the exact same thing with Hellbang too.
There's a couple more down there where I think up in the valley we get like one of each. Maybe two Boxing Rocks, one Hellbang.
Yeah. But you probably get more church. You probably get
loads
more sea level.
Yep.
You probably get more wayfarers.
Yep. They're all in there.
So it is absolutely regional. So there's all kinds of different tiers that the NSLC does. Here in the city, it's pretty universal across the entire spectrum here in HRM.
Well, there's a few places that are sort of now the wine and spirits out in Clayton Park. What's that called?
So that's West Side.
West Side.
So that's owned by Harvest Wines.
And it's a little bit different.
It's 100%. So it's one of the two privatized beer liquor companies that we have, liquor stores that we have here in HRM. So Harvest Wines, West Side, and Rockhead is all owned by Harvest Wine. And I think I might be speaking out of turn. I'm pretty sure that they got Pete Luckett's privatized liquor license when he closed out of Sunnyside Mall.
Oh.
Because there was only ever like two independent beer licenses. There used to be one in what used to be called City Center in Spring Garden Road before Pete showed up. Or maybe it was the two before, that's what it was. So there was one, I'm going way back. I'm going back to like mid-90s. So mid to late 90s. So there was this one in City Center, which is where Pete Luckett's is, that same building. Before it got renovated, whatever. But that was before Bishop's Cellar, before Bishop's opened. So I'd be willing to bet that privatized license went to Bishop's and Pete Luckett's went to Harvest Wine.
So you can just hand these things down like hereditary monarchies and whatnot?
That's what happens with, so there's like still two strip club licenses that exist here in HRM.
This is the second time I've talked about strip club licenses in the last 5 days.
You're welcome.
It's starting to get really weird. Okay. Oh, that's right, because my hotel in Montreal was across from 2 strip clubs. I mean, it
Club
came
Super
up.
Sex.
It came up.
I love that for you. It's a beautiful thing to be
we did talk about the fact that strip clubs, pretty much there's none left.
Well, there are none left. It's not pretty much, it's just done.
There's 2 licenses.
But there's still 2 licenses. There's still 2 people here in HRM that own bars that have a strip club license. But then if you actually want to have topless dancers, you need to go through this whole rigmarole, and it's just going to be shot down by HRM council anyway, so nobody fucking does it anymore.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to look at nipples anymore as a species.
No, it's a terrible thing.
They're horrific.
It's a terrible thing to look at.
Don't even start. Don't even try.
Or penises if on male stripper nights.
Oh god, that's an entirely different level. There's another non sequitur, as when nothing made me more aware of a Western civilization prudishness than when everyone said, "Oh, you've got to watch Game of Thrones. It just throws all the rules out the window."
Oh yeah.
And I watched it and I went, "Nope. I'm still just looking at flaccid penises and women's nipples, and that's you think this is it? This is very avant-garde of your nudity appreciation. No, nope, you're quite wrong. Nope, this is still, again, and it's my chip on my shoulder about things that are just basic.
Yeah.
When I watch something and I think, you could have really explored or expressed or pushed the envelope, made it just a little bit more. But you said, oh, this tiny little box that they've put us in, it's comfy.
Because you don't want to offend too many people, man. Like, we live in a really soft world these days, and you got to tread lightly.
We live in a really soft part of the world.
You got to tread carefully.
The planet itself is not.
Oh, as a whole.
It's not soft.
Sure,
As a
sure.
whole. Over here,
North
in
American
our
culture.
Delightful little lazy boy. Our third generation lazy boy. Granddad had his favorite chair.
Oh, 100%.
An inherited. Yeah, our culture can be described as I inherited Dad's favorite chair.
That's it. That should go on a plaque somewhere. I'm going to put that on my Facebook tonight. North America culture described as I inherited my grandfather's lazy boy. We just solved the world's fucking problems tonight.
It sounds more profound than it probably is, but I think it's
that.
just a point that we're at the tail end of the pints here.
I drink slower than you, and I sure can't down things.
There's an interesting or a follow-up for you. We have been doing some math on the fact that
Hit me.
if you say that you're providing someone with a pint,
Depends on what kind of pint you're talking
well,
about.
Canada has a description of pint that is 20 ounces.
Correct.
A Canadian ounce is 20. Is
Correct.
Or a Canadian ounce.
What's an American pint?
Oh, they go all over the place because they haven't established one. But the thing is, if you say, "Hey, I'll have a pint," and it says pint of Rickard's Red.
Yep.
$7.
Yep.
And they come out and they push it on you, and it's a 16-ounce
It's a
glass.
16-ounce glass.
You are allowed to be that guy / Karen who says that's not in a 20-ounce glass. A, I want 20 ounces of beer, and B, it's illegal to give me a 16-ounce glass of beer that you advertise as a pint.
Are you kidding me? There's actually a rule about that?
There's a rule.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, I was reading in the last few weeks because I like to collect glasses from everywhere. So when I go to a brewery, I will often say, "Oh, and have you got glasses for sale?"
Right.
And more often than not, I have to talk them into it because they say, "Oh, we're getting rid of some, and
are you kidding
we
me?
don't have many right now."
Come on, breweries, be better. Give the man a glass.
They did, and they were nice. So it all works out just fine.
Ridiculous.
I like different things.
Ridiculous.
But, I mean, that's the setup for I'm gonna go and buy one before I leave here. So that's next.
I love
too.
it.
But Ian Smith, thank you so much for taking the time and letting me come in here to the Tapestry Beer Bar in Lower Sackville. I gotta get my Sackvilles right. 833. What is the name of the damn road?
833 Sackville Drive.
It's just Sackville Drive.
It was right there, right on the tip of your tongue.
Does it go right through Lower, Middle, and Upper Sackville?
All of the Sackvilles.
Okay, I have to tell you this. We, as a teen, as a midways teen in the mid '90s, I have always given Sackville a hard time.
Everybody gives Sackville a hard time.
I grew up in St. Marcus Bay.
That.
We used to come into Halifax.
Oh yeah.
And Sackville was it was like it was acne you had to shave around. You know what I mean? It was in the way, but you had to go past it regardless.
Wow.
You can use that one too.
Wow.
But as we were driving, we were coming up one day, and we were coming through Sackville, and someone talked about, we said, "Oh, here we go. We're in Sackville. It's pretty exciting now." And someone who did not know that we were being sarcastic just said, "Oh, what is Sackville? A really exciting place? Is it a great place?" And these are the exact words that I said to them.
Oh, here we go.
I said, "Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Oh yeah. Sackville's such a happening place. When you drive through, you got to roll the windows up to keep the parties from getting in." And to this day, I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever said.
Stop.
Up
Oh,
until referring to it as acne that you have to shave around. Those are my two best jokes now of all time.
Yeah.
But
I like the acne
Yeah,
one better.
we give We give Sackville almost as hard of a time as we give Spryfield.
And that's
There's the butt of the joke, and then there's the butt of the joke.
I mean, I grew up in Purcell's Cove, so
Okay.
I totally understand the Spryfield thing.
You've heard them all.
I went to QE, so I picked on Sackville a lot.
Yep.
Living out here, being a part of this tremendously amazing community and seeing all of these amazing people that come here, because 90% of the people who come to my bar are within a 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk of here.
Awesome.
This is the fastest growing community in HR.
Not to say I want to take business from you, but I want one of these in every hub community.
100%.
Not every community, every hub community in Nova Scotia.
I agree.
The one that people come, oh, I'm 2 villages out, I'll go into
I agree.
Aylesford tonight, or
Yep.
I'll go into Mahone Bay.
Yep.
We need one of these in every single
I should put a
spot.
Tapestry Beer Bar where the Aylesford Zoo used to be.
I can't see that going wrong at all.
Oh my God, no.
Because, I mean,
That would be epic.
and then if you could either borrow or rent some of the leftover animals. Can you
Obviously.
imagine a capybara just wandering through?
I mean, I was thinking like an orangutan that could serve us our IPAs.
If you can train it, yes.
100%.
I'm cutting out training costs and just saying
Oh.
adorable South American rodent going
Capybaras.
through. and
Capybaras.
I've decided.
We should probably keep the big cats out.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have food.
The
It's not like we
Panthers-
have steaks or anything like that, so we might be okay.
I mean, if you just get everyone to chuck them some spicy chicken wings
Every
every
now and
then,
again.
they'll be satiated. I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain that would happen.
We don't want them to choke on the bones, though.
They eat the bones.
Oh, do they?
Oh, they cut right through them.
Oh, yeah. Panthers, they got big chompers.
It was one of the creepiest parts of feeding time when you go there, because they just had whole chickens, and
Bone
they
and
chuck them
all.
in, and then you just hear. That would just be these huge teeth going through.
That's
all
some
those.
serious ASMR right there.
It was, I wish I had a recording of it. It was actually really good.
Dude.
Almost as good as the black bears eating pink mints.
Oh, I know.
That's
I was
a,
that
that's
guy.
A nice noise too.
I was one of those guys that had to distract one of the bears. So there was the bear.
Distract.
Okay. So there were 2 bears. One of the bears was really, really well behaved, really well trained, and the little kids could feed it.
Smoky.
Sure. There was a second bear
Blueberry.
that somebody needed to distract.
Yeah.
While the other one was being fed. So I volunteered that day. So I was able to bring this bear all the way down on the side of the paddock, and he was on that side of the fence, and I was
Yeah.
on this side, and we were having a bonding experience. And I remember feeding him these pink things, whatever the hell they were, pink, I don't know. Anyway, but I was trying like different things, and I was getting more and more brave because I'm not really afraid of animals. First of all, I'm a huge animal lover. Love animals. Anytime you get me in front of an animal, it's going to be pet. Doesn't matter.
What have you ever had to stand behind a horse? Nothing makes me more. I'm an
Oh,
animal
yeah,
lover too.
no.
I
Why wouldn't your nurse
I
be shot?
can't stand
No.
behind.
You're just asking for
a
trouble.
horse.
You're just asking for trouble.
I'm gonna get kicked.
So this bear was down on the ground, like on all fours, and I was feeding him, and I said, okay, cool, we're gonna get you to go up. So he got up,
Yeah.
no problem. I got closer, he got closer, and I said, okay, we're gonna do this. So I put the thing in my mouth, and he reaches over, and he reaches his claws through, and I remember the feeling of the claws going into my shoulder, and I'm like, okay, I can't move, I can't flinch because I don't want to freak him out.
Yep.
And then the tongue, because that's how they eat, and the tongue going, whoop, whoop. It was so awesome.
We took the step kids, and my oldest, my stepson, he did that. He got to feed the black bear with the thing in his mouth.
Dude,
It would be really weird if we were there on the same day.
it's so epic.
And again, do you know Canada? Do you know John?
Of course
You
I know
remember
John.
John who fed the bear.
Absolutely.
Bear John.
How
we
can
call
I
him.
forget?
Pink Mint Bear John is what we call him when he's not around. Anyway, it is, yeah, it's a little bit after 9. But I just want to, again, thank Edith Smith for allowing me in here and showing me around. And if you are anywhere near Sackville, you got to get into Lower Sackville 833 on Sackville Drive. Got it right that time. And into the Tapestry Beer Bar. every week, Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. We're back here online on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@drinknsdry. And then the podcast is at all the podcasty places. You just look up Drink NS Dry. Or you can go straight to the source, which is I'm going to get this right. drinkns unsupervised.beer. I probably got that wrong. But look it all up, and we've got all the pages and channels and whatnots for it. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Good night.